So what did this mattress expert learn getting to tour a massive mattress factory? We're going to talk about that in today's video. Hey, how's it going? This is Owen. I'm a CNET, and if you didn't know, I was recently able to do a tour of the 3Z Brands mattress factory in Phoenix, Arizona. They make a ton of different mattresses out of this facility. 3Z Brands includes brands like Leesa, Brooklyn Bedding, Helix, Nolah, Birch, and Bear. So some of our favorite mattresses are all made in this facility I was able to tour, which was a very cool experience. There were a lot of questions I had before going on the tour, and pretty much all of them were answered, and I'm just gonna go through some of the questions I had and what I learned. If you wanna learn more about our whole tour of the 3Z Mattress Factory, make sure you look down below in the description. There should be a few video links and a few article links because it was a very informative trip. And if you find this video helpful or interesting in any way, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. But let's just kick it off with the number one thing that I learned from this factory tour, and that is how they keep all of their mattresses different. You might be watching this and wondering, if they make so many different mattresses, aren't they all just kind of the same with a few minor differences? And having been able to physically test all these mattresses, I can confirm that they are quite a bit different, but I got to learn how they're different. So I was able to witness their foam pouring process. They have this huge section of the factory that's dedicated to pouring brand new foams. And the chemical makeup of each foam is really what determines the mattress's characteristics. Right behind me is the Nolah Signature 13-inch hybrid mattress that uses a very specific type of foam called Nolah Air Foam. And then if we look at something like the Bear Original, that has more of a classic dense memory foam. So the chemical makeup of each foam is significantly different, and all they really have to do is punch in some numbers on their machine and it'll make that specific type of foam. And they're constantly experimenting with new types of foams. We're able to talk with their foam chemist, and they have a foam laboratory. And in the foam laboratory, there are tons of different types of foams that they're experimenting with. And since they have the ability to create so much new foam very quickly, they can make several hundred feet of it in a matter of hours, and they can store all of it in their huge bays they're able to look at. They have everything they need on hand to make every single mattress that 3Z Brands makes. And all the foams that they pour at the factory are CertiPure US certified, which is one of the main certifications you need to sell mattresses in the United States. The second really big thing I was curious about before the tour is how they make the coils. The brands will talk about a lot how their pocketed coil systems provide a ton of support, but they're also excellent isolating motion. They're great for airflow. And a lot of the pocketed coil chassis on these mattresses talk about reinforced edge support and zone support. And I was curious how that all gets put together, and it was actually a pretty cool yet simple process. So there's a set of machines running pretty much all the time that take different gauge wire and forms them in the coils, and then they get individually wrapped, which then easily allows them to make a slightly higher gauge coil for the perimeter of the mattresses and the center third of the mattresses to provide you with that reinforced edge support and the zone support. A large chunk of the mattresses from 3Z do feature coils as opposed to dense support foam. People like myself tend to prefer coil mattresses, and coil mattresses have come a long way. These pocketed coil designs do a much better job at isolating motion than an old school innerspring mattress, and having the ability to reinforce different parts of the mattresses with additional support is really pretty easy to do with this coil making process. That was something I was really impressed with, and it was fun to watch. Another thing I learned touring the factory was just how big and how much scale they're producing these mattresses on. The factory is somewhere around 600,000 square feet, and they are making hundreds and hundreds of mattresses every single day. And one thing I thought was really interesting and pretty nice is that these mattresses aren't being made and then roll packed in boxes and just sitting there waiting around for someone to buy them. They're actually pretty much sold even before they're made. So if you go to any of the 3Z Brands websites and order a mattress, odds are it's gonna be made that day and then shipped out, so it's not gonna spend a lot of time roll packed in that box. And pretty much every mattress brand says that when you receive the mattress to unbox it as quickly as possible, because if it spends multiple weeks wrapped in that plastic inside the box, it can actually be bad for the bed. So knowing that the beds spend very little time actually roll packed, I think is really nice. Another thing that I found really fascinating is how they actually come up with new mattress models. I was able to chat with the brand lead for Leesa, and she talked about the sort of ideation process for coming up with the Leesa Chill lineup of mattresses. And because they have all this stuff in-house, they're able to create prototypes of new mattresses very quickly. She said for the Leesa Sapira Chill mattress specifically, they made probably at least a dozen different prototypes before landing on one that they thought was going to be really good, and the feedback on it has been really positive. And I learned a little bit about how the brands within 3Z share information to help make their products better. It does get a little competitive between the brands about who can sell the most, which is what Scott Palladini, the brand lead behind Bear, told me. But the brands can also learn from each other, like with the Leesa Reserve Hybrid being shipped in 2 boxes, just like the Helix Elite beds, which did it first. And then one last thing I want to mention that was kind of cool and informative is that if you happen to live in the Phoenix area, you can actually go to the Mattress Factory where they have a showroom that's open to the public where you can test out many different 3Z beds. There's actually 2 mattresses that they make that we've never had at our Reno office because they're too heavy to ship and only sell in their public showroom. That's going to be the Sedona Elite, aka the Sedona Blue, and the Heritage mattress. So if you're interested in some super special mattresses that don't actually get sold online, and you happen to live in Phoenix, it might be worth checking out. It's a really nice showroom and everyone there is super nice and helpful. So those are the main things I was able to learn going on the 3Z Mattress Factory tour. There's probably some stuff I left out. We did do a very big recap video if you want to check it out. If you actually want to see all this stuff in more detail, be sure to take a look in the description. It should be linked down there. And just more information about all of these mattresses should be linked down there as well if you want to check that out. If you found this video helpful or interesting in any way, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that a lot. But that's going to do it for me. This is Owen with CNET. See you in the next one.